All right, number 7. Which problem, 5 or 6, has a divisor that is a factor of the dividend? Well, this question on 7 tells me that one of the two previous problems, one has a remainder and one of them has no remainder. So just thinking about what I did on the previous one, 5 had a remainder, 6 didn't have a remainder. That fits with this. So if I was going to do this problem, which has a divisor that is a factor, well, that one would be number 6 because there's no remainder. So be careful. Remember, I switched some numbers. So on the test, you're going to have to do that test, see which one of those two division problems has no remainder, and that's what goes in there. All right, number 8. F of x has a given factor. Find the other two factors of the polynomial and write the answer in factor form. So this has this for a factor, which means synthetic division should work. I'll put a 4 there. I'm going to put the coefficients 1, 4, negative 25, negative 28. And the problem says it is a factor. So I already know I'm going to get 0. I'll drop the 1. That's 4. That's 8. That's 32. That's 7. That's 28, and that's 0 right there. And if I didn't get 0 there, I would have went back and done it again. I would have made sure whatever it is. I would have went until I got that to be a 0. So remainder constant x squared. I got x squared plus 8x plus 7 as a result of the factoring. And really what this wants to find the other two factors. This is one quadratic factor. I need two factors. It must mean I can x-wing it. 1 and 1. 7 is 7 and 1. It looks like x plus 7 and x plus 1 are my other two factors. It wants me to write the answer in factor form. So I'll take my original, x minus 4. I'll take my two new ones, x plus 7 and x plus 1. And I really could check myself on this problem by plugging this into my calculator and plugging this into my calculator, and the two graphs should be right on top of each other. There shouldn't be any issues. All right, 9. Now, 9 for you guys could be a really easy problem if you followed along as I did this on your calculator, because when I taught this, I taught it to you in a graphing calculator format as well as a by hand format. I'm going to 100% do this by hand. If you guys want to do it on a calculator, if you know how to do that, do it on a calculator, but I'm going to go by hand. So the first one is p plus r. My p value is 8 plus 2i. My r value is the 7 minus 4i. 8 and 7 is 15. Minus 2i and 4i is minus 2i. Combine like terms, it's all I did on that problem. P minus r. My p is 8 plus 2i. My r is 7 minus 4i. I am on this one going to use parentheses this time and put a minus sign because I'm supposed to subtract both of them. So I'm going to subtract all of this from all of this. So 8 minus 7 is 1. And 2i minus a negative 4i is 2i plus 6i, or 2i plus 4i, which is 6i. I got 1 plus 6i on that one. And again, use those buttons on your calculator if you know how. P squared, I'm going to come down here for this one. P squared is, I'm going to take the p value, which is 8 plus 2i, and I'm going to square it. Now, you could do that on your calculator with a little squared there. I'm going to write it as 8 plus 2i times 8 plus 2i so I can FOIL it. That's 64, 16i, and another 16i. So I got two 16i's when I FOIL it. And then I got plus 4i squared. I squared is negative 1. So I have 64 minus 4 plus 32i. 64 minus 4 is 60. And then 16 is 32i. So I got 60 plus 32i for that one. And now for the really hard one. And again, the graphing utility would make this one a lot easier. You can just type it in. But I'm going to do the division And then after I do that division, I got to get the I out of the denominator. So the division is just the p value divided by the r value, which is 8 plus 2i all over 7 minus 4i. And the rule on this one was multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. So the conjugate of the denominator is 7 plus 4i. And on the top, it's 7 plus 4i. So really what I'm taking is I'm taking that red value and I'm multiplying it by 7 plus 4i and 7 plus 4i. And calculator would have done this out, but I have to FOIL on the top and on the bottom. So I got 8 times 7 is 56. 14i and 32i. 14i plus 32i. And then 2i times 4i is 8i squared. 8i squared. I squared is negative 1. So I have 56 minus 8. 56 minus 8 is 56. 46, 40, it's 48, I think. This is negative 1, that's 48. 14 and 32 is 46. So I have 48 plus 46i, I think. Actually, I have it on a key. Yep, that's right. On the bottom, I get 49. That and that are going to wipe each other out. It's plus 28i and minus 28i. That's the middle terms. 28i and yep, and then 4i and 4i, that's negative. That'll be negative 16i squared. And the 28i's will wipe out. And this is actually negative 1. So it's 49 plus 16. 49 plus 16 is 65. 65. And that would be the answer because I don't think there's any factors in common. I think the calculator probably writes it as 48 over 65 plus 46i over 65. Did any of you guys do that on a calculator? Yours, if you have decimals, it's because you have an old school calculator. You don't have the updated software. I think you might be able to math frac it. Hit the math button. Hit the math button all the way on the left. There's a math button, and now hit the one. Just hit frac. Hit enter, and then hit enter again, and then it'll. If you math frac, it'll actually turn it into. Are those the right fractional values that I got?
Yeah, they are.
So, I mean, if you need help with that on a calculator, I can help you out with that more down the road. All right, the last two we spent a ton of time on. This was the kind of the gist of the chapter was can you find the zeros? Can you find the zeros? And I even gave you a little hint on one of them. Ooh, there's multiplicity. And I think step one on all of these problems is can I get a good picture of it? So go ahead and let's put this thing on our calculator. 4x squared minus 2x plus 10. And I got to zoom back to my standard screen here. I'm in a funky spot, so zoom, standard. And you can barely see it up there, but it's up there. It's that little guy up there. It's a U-shaped. It's way up there. So I'm going to draw a picture of that. I got, and I don't even really care how far up, I got that guy right there. Which tells me what about my answers? 2, and they're all imaginary because it doesn't hit the x-axis. So I'm going to get 2 imaginary answers. The only way you can get these right now is a quadratic formula problem. So here we go. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared. Negative 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 times the a value, which is 4, times the c value, which is 10. All over 2 times the a value, which is 4, all over 2a. So I think that's right. 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 160, I think. Negative 156? All over 8. Huh. What's in 156? Go find it. I don't know. 16 maybe?
Nope.
36 maybe?
Nope.
156 divided by 36? Nope. 156 divided by 64. 156 divided by 4. 4 times 39?
Yeah.
That it? All right, so this is -1, 4, and 39. I'm going to pull out the 1 and I'm going to pull out the 4. So that gets me to 2 plus or minus 2i. That comes out as a 2. That comes out as I, root 39 all over 8. And the 8 will go into both 2's. So I'm going to write my answer as 1/4, 2 over 8, plus or minus 2 over 8 is another 1/4. But also on the top, when I do those two, I have I root 39. You can write it like this. 1 plus or minus I root 39 all over 4 if you prefer. Either one of those two answers would be fine. All right, again, and I want to keep this as short as possible, so if you're doing this online and you want to make sure you're right, go ahead and hit pause and you can do that. But let's keep going. So I took the time to graph it before class, so I got that picture right there. And I notice when I look at that picture on this next graph, they're all at funky, weird in-between spots. So I'm going to use that little rule that was factors of constant, and this is just going to help me, over factors of the leading coefficient. The constant is the 6, so it's plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6. All of the factors of the leading coefficient, which is plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 3. And now I'm going to look at my problem here, and I'm going to try to see if from that list I can come up with one of those decimals. Now, look at this. Look at that right there and tell me what you think could be a 0. There's my list, and now I got to get a 0 off of that. Any of those decimals look like they could be fractions, maybe. Like I'm specifically looking at that middle one.
1/3.
You think that middle one could be 1/3? Is that at least a possibility?
Yeah.
Well, 1/3 is at least a possibility. So I'm going to go ahead and try 1/3 in synthetic division. Let's see if it works. 1/3 into 3, -7, -16, and 6. I don't have any placeholders. I'll drop the 3. That's 1. A third of 3 is 1. That's -6. A third of -6 is -2. -2, that makes -18. A third of -18 is -6. Ooh, sweet, we found one. We got one of the zeros. Those other two spots, they're irrational. They hit at funky spots. The one on the left, all the way to the left, and the one all the way to the right, I don't think those are very nice zeros. And I'm going to tell you, because of the way the picture looked, I'm pretty sure this isn't factorable. So I'm going to take 3x squared minus 6x minus 18. I'm going to set it equal to 0, and I'm going to use a quadratic formula to find the other two zeros. I already know 1/3 is a 0. And I'm looking for 3 other zeros. There's 3 there. So here we go. Negative b plus or minus the square root. B squared is 36 minus 4. The a value is 3 and the c value is -18. All over 2 times the a value, which is 3. I think that's right. Minus 4ac. All right. Can you guys please for me here tell me what's actually underneath the radical? I think it was a rather big number. 250 what? 252. Go ahead and figure out what's in it.
36 and 7.
36 times 7. Okay, so this is 36 times 7, and it's all over 6. Ooh, that's going to work out nice. Maybe you see it, maybe you don't. But I got 6 plus or minus 6 root 7 over 6. Because the square root of 36 is 6. And then the 6 will go into both of them. I would probably write it as 1 plus or minus radical 7, because that 6 goes into both of those. or I got a third, I got 1 plus root 7, and I got 1 minus root 7 for my zeros. And I found them, and those were irrational. All right, last problem, and the last problem has multiplicity in it. So we know we're going to use some zeros twice. So again, I think the first step is to analyze the graph and look at it. So you should be plugging it in on your graphing utility and seeing what it looks like. See if I don't think I have this one plugged in already. Nope. So I'm going to have to plug this in also. So I'm going to take x to the 4th minus, clear that out, x to the 4th minus 8x to the 3rd plus 31x squared. I would expect this to be U-shaped, minus 78x plus 90. So I would expect it to be U-shaped with a little wobbliness. And mine's not popping up. Oh, there it finally came up. And I just simply got that as a picture. Yes? Mm-hmm. So that 3 right there, that 0 at 3, it has multiplicity, which means I use it twice. So my picture was 1, 2, 3. It came down here. Maybe it wobbles some more somewhere else. I don't know where else it could wobble, but it could. And I know that 3 should work in synthetic division. So I'm going to try to plug 3 in here in synthetic division and see if it works. So 3 into 1, negative 8, 31, negative 78, and 90. I hope it works. 3, 9, 1, 3. 34?
You messed up.
Oh, what did I mess up?
You forgot to drop the 1.
Oh, I didn't drop the 1. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, that would have been horrible. 1. Let's try this again. 1, 3, negative 5, yes? Negative 15, positive 16. Oh, 16 times 3 is 64? 16 times 3?
48.
48, dang it. 48, oh, because now that's negative 30, and now that's negative 90, and then there's my 0. Now, again, twice because of the multiplicity. So I'm going to use 3 again. Drop the 1, 3, negative 2, negative 6, 10, 30, 0. And I got remainder, constant, x squared. What do you expect about your other 2 zeros? I think they're going to be imaginary because it only hits once. So I have 3 once, I have 3 a second time. And now I'm going to solve x squared minus 2x plus 10. I'm going to find my other, I got 4 zeros to look for. So, negative b plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times my a value, which is 1, times my c value, which is 10. Seems like I did this one before. All over 2 times my a value. My a value is 1. So I got 2 plus or minus, that's negative 36 underneath the radical. All over 2. Which gets me to 2 plus or minus 6i over 2, which gets me to 1 plus or minus 3i. And my answers are 3, 3, 3, 1 plus 3i, and 1 minus 3i. And that's the end of the review. Good luck on your test tomorrow.